Farewell to Manzanar, Chapter 10, The Reservoir Shack, and Aside. My brother-in-law Kaz was foreman of a reservoir maintenance detail, the only crew permitted to work or to leave to camp the limits the night of the riot. At the back gate they were issued 4 pickaxe handles to protect themselves in case the Innu hunters found them cooperating at a time like this. They drove out there, checked the chlorine shed, toured the perimeter, then trooped into a little shack that had been set up with 4 cots. It was like a fireman's watch. Each crew spent 24 hours on standby, making periodic checks, clearing the debris, doing whatever was necessary to keep the water moving into camp. The shack had 1 window, but when they turned off the light and stretched out on the cots, you could barely see its outline. The night was so dark. Kaz lay there trying to see the line between the dark inside and the dark outside the shack, and he thought he saw something pass across the window, but called it his imagination and shut his eyes. A moment later, the door crashed open. A flashlight was blinding him. He felt the sharp jut of a gun sight against his cheek. Someone yelled, "All right, you Japs, up against the wall." He jumped out of bed and saw 4 MPs with Tommy guns, a sergeant and 3 privates. While Kaz backed to the wall to join his crew, that gun barrel stayed right against his cheek. The MPs kept yelling, "Come on, Japs, move it, move it." Kaz finally found his voice. "Hey, what's the matter with you guys?" The sergeant in charge was wild-eyed, scanning the room as he fanned the air with his Tommy gun, sure he had uncovered a nest of saboteurs. He was about the same age as Kaz, early 20s. "What the hell are you doing out here?" he yelled. "We're the reservoir crew." "Nobody's supposed to leave the camp. You know that." "Somebody's got to be out here all the time. Regulations." The sergeant spotted axe handles on the floor by each cot and kicked one with his boot. "What the hell are these for, then?" "The rioters. If they found us here, they'd throw us all in the reservoir." The sergeant squinted suspiciously. Kaz said, "Go on back to the gate and check it out." The sergeant kicked all the axe handles into a pile and scooped them up. "I'm taking these with me. Don't nobody move till I get back." He left. The reservoir crew didn't blink until he returned with the clearance half an hour later. They stood there watching the 3 jittery privates who had backed up against the opposite wall, as fearful of these 4 Japs they had to guard as Kaz and his men were of the unsteady weapons they knew could go off at any moment.